What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode number 346 of the A2D From Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, please like, subscribe, follow, and share the link with your friends. Today's episode again is number 346, and it's going to be a group episode, and it's entitled Compost Pile. I want to give a big welcome to my friends in recovery from the US, South Africa, and Australia for their participation in this group episode, as they've been for many before. And I'll be keeping them anonymous, but I'll be saying their answers as if we're having a live group meeting. So, guys, here's your first question on the compost pile. What part of your baggage, your past, should go or needed to go to a compost pile? Not just thrown out, but composted to turn into fertilizer that fuels your recovery and your growth on forward. Ben, you ready to start us out? Sure, David. I'm glad to be first again now that we're back in the saddle. And for me, the biggest thing that needed to go into the compost pile was my shame. For years, I carried the weight of my addiction, my crimes, my prison time, and all the regret that came with them. I wanted to bury those things and pretend they never happened. But God didn't just throw them away, He actually composted them. Now, those same things have become the very soil He uses to grow compassion, humility, gratitude, and hope in me. They're the reason I can walk into prisons, recovery meetings, and churches and genuinely tell people you're not beyond God's reach, because neither was I. I guess to wrap it up, what once smelled like death has become fertilizer for new life. Shaw. Thanks, Ben. Great way to start us out. And yeah, it's great to have you guys back for group episodes after the hiatus with my recovery. Charlie, you want to go next? Sure, David, I'm glad to. And again, I'm glad you're feeling better. One of the biggest things that needed to go for me was my perception on my relationship with my mother. When she passed, I took it on myself to blame for how tough her life was. I felt like I had always let her down and messed up her life. I didn't know I felt that way until I found recovery. And now I'm learning I have something else to let go of. It's my relationship with my father. The issue that is linked to both of them is abandonment and abuse. I understand the abuse from my dad, but not my mom. To me, it was regular, like my dad hit me a few times as a kid, but the verbal abuse was every day and way more deeply rooted. I'm just starting to face that now. And the abuse from my mother wasn't even intentional. She was in survival mode all of my life because of my dad and some medical issues. I now know that most of it was so she could protect me, but some of that was traumatic for a small child, like being locked in a closet. She was protecting me from him and herself, and till this day, I still have fear of darkness. Wow. Thanks for being so transparent there, Charlie. Let's get on and see what Dante has to say. David, what I needed to burn and get it on the burn pile and ultimately the compost pile was generally understanding that Romans chapter 8 and verse 1, that I'm no longer condemned because I am in Christ, really applied to me. See, what that functionally meant was that whatever happened to me in my past was not my fault. I'm not condemned, but it was my responsibility. I needed to take a hold of what happened and what was and what led me to my addiction and use that as a stepping stone for healing, not an anchor for staying stuck. I got there slowly. There was not one thing that got me out of that, but it was one thing that led to another, and eventually it led to what I can look back now and call occasional wisdom. You know, in books, podcasts, Instagram reels, YouTube shorts, I looked everywhere for help, answers, ideas. Phew, what a chase of futility I was stuck on and never found any lasting wisdom. But now, every day is an adventure, and I'm continually learning what God has in store for me. Thanks for that ride along with you there. We appreciate that so much, Dante. Eddie, what do you have to say? David, for me, the baggage that needs to go into the compost pile now is regret, hurt, and things from my past that I still carry. I don't want to just throw them all away because they taught me something. I want to turn them into lessons as well as testimonies. Sometimes the hardest things we go through in life can help us grow. I can't change my past, but I can absolutely choose what I can grow from it. David, can I go next? Sure, Harry. I want to go next because my baggage for compost was also regret and unforgiveness towards myself. I couldn't stand the things I did while I was in active addiction. I couldn't forgive myself and continued to live kicking myself daily and living in embarrassment. When I went to my pastors, they taught me about God's mercy and grace, how He paid our price for sins. But I didn't get it at first. I can say, though, once I started praying for forgiveness of my sins, I began to let go of my past. And I guess that was like my compost moment because I learned how to break free and stay free. Good testimony there. I really think that's great that, Harry, that you got to break free and stay free. Well, guys, we have a new guy joining us, and his name is Demos, which means the people in Greek. And Demos, welcome. Let's see what you got for us. David, thanks for inviting me in. We've known each other a while, and I'm glad to be part of it finally. And I think for me, it would have to be the idea of holding on to any sort of friendship with my ex wife. We had been best friends for 23 years when she agreed to marry me and live out our dream fantasy of happily ever after. Well, 8 months into our marriage, I relapsed after 4.5 years sober from alcohol. Was it the crippling anxiety I'd been suffering because of bad relations with our landlord? You see, anxiety was always my biggest trigger. No, now I think it was her. She became my biggest trigger. I'd spent 10 years in London, visiting South Africa once or twice a year. So she only knew the fun, happy drunk and not the sober me, not the self sabotaging monster I become. After 18 months of marriage, she walked out and said, I didn't sign up for this stuff. Wow. Now, 8 years of in and out of rehabs, and the sheriff missing me 4 times while I was gone, while she was sending him to deliver divorce papers to sign, and it finally all caught up. But I'm on the right road and suggested that we can get on with it so we can try to be friends again. Well, I'll tell you something. The scorned monster I've had to deal with getting that sorted out has been enormous. The 8 years of hurt and betrayal she'd been holding on to was letting me know all about it. Wow. I definitely won't be making any attempts to rekindle any sort of relationship with that compost. And actually, when I do that, all of it will make great fertilizer, I think. Thanks so much, Demos, and welcome aboard. And guys, I want to thank you all for your participation. And listeners, I want to thank you for listening in. If you were saying that's me or you want to reach out and contact me, you can do so by clicking on the link on this podcast of From Addict to Disciple, wherever you're listening. Or you can send me an email at davidfroma2d@gmail.com. Or you can go on my website, www.froma2d.org, and click on the contact page. Keep listening to future podcast episodes, and as always, stay safe and stay resilient.